Welcome back, America. You know, I'd be gravely remiss if I didn't mention President Trump's constant references to October 7th when the press keeps pressing him about what about Gaza? And he says, well, what about October 7th? And what about what they did to the Israelis and the Jews? President Trump has a strong moral center. He understands what took place here. He understands why the Israelis need to defend themselves and fight back. He has a historical context for this thing. And honestly, there's nobody better in the House of Representatives, nobody, than Chris Smith, who understands this issue of genocide, who spent his entire career, which is most of his life, in the House of Representatives fighting it. And I want to focus now, Congressman Smith, who's a friend of mine, on what's happening to Christians around the world. And again, President Trump leading it, telling Nigeria, you need to protect the Christians who are being slaughtered. But it's in Nigeria, it's in the Sudan, it's in Syria, it's in China, and it's all over the place. And of course, our media pay almost no attention to it. So I wanted to have you, Chris, here to tell us the nature of this and how bad it is.
Mark, it's very bad, as you say. We have Hamas-like organizations all over the world and countries like Xi Jinping's China that tortures, kills, co-ops Christians and other faiths, but they go after Christians with a special venom. And in Nigeria, where 90% of all the Christians who are murdered, it happens in that country. Boko Haram, the Fulani terrorists in the Middle Belt area. It's a situation where under the Biden administration, they claim that the mass slaughter of Christians and kidnappings and rape of women was attributable to global warming. They reversed President Trump's designation of country of particular concern on Nigeria, which opens up the door for very serious sanctioning. He reversed it. I asked Blinken twice at hearings, what's your criteria? He had no criteria. They just turned the other way and allowed the Christians to be killed. And I find that absolutely appalling. And there's this culture of denial, almost like the denial of what happened to the Jews, Holocaust deniers, and of course, what has happened October 7th and on, where horrible atrocities are committed, and these people in nice pinstripe suits and the like, or with Muslim garb, will say nothing to see here. And that's what's happening there. I went to Nigeria on several trips, and I've chaired 10 hearings, I should say, on the attack on Christians. And one of them was in 2013. Mark, I met with this Archbishop Kegama, who had many of his churches firebombed in Jos, which is an area that Boko Haram was operating in with impunity. So we went to the churches. All these people, survivors, talking about how they come in with AK-47s and just killed indiscriminately and left, and nothing from the federal government, nothing from the president then or now. They just claim, well, we have some problems with terrorism. No, it's targeted at Christians, and they do forced renunciations of faith. I had a man that I met in a internally displaced camp. His name is Adama. And I listened to him for about an hour. I invited him to Washington. He testified. The Boko Haram broke into his home, put an AK-47 to his cheek and said, you renounce your faith as a Christian and become a Muslim right now, or I'll blow your brains out. He said, I'm ready to meet my Lord. They pulled the trigger, and he had very, very serious scarring, but he miraculously survived. That's happening every single day. I had a bishop testify last March at a big hearing just a few months ago. He's going to testify again at another hearing I have coming up on Thursday. His name is Bishop Anabe. He said, militant Fulani herdsmen are terrorists. They steal and vandalize. They kill and boast about it. They kidnap and rape, and they enjoy total impunity from elected officials. None of them have been arrested or brought to justice. That's the state of affairs. Donald Trump, to his everlasting credit, has redesignated Nigeria as a country of particular concern. He's talked about a whole series of ways of trying to mitigate and hopefully end this horrible crisis. Secretary of State Rubio has been talking to them and saying, you guys got to work with us because you can't allow this genocide to continue. And it is genocide.
We'll be right back.
Radical Islamists, and they have become more radical as governments, including Nigeria and others, look the other way or say it's not happening. The culture of denial. And that becomes an enabling factor like none other. And the last administration, and I took them to task over and over again, I couldn't believe that Biden just looked the other way when it came to these massive killings and attributed, like I said a moment ago, to global warming. I mean, it doesn't even pass the straight face test. But there is a rising tide of this radical Islamist view right here in the United States, in Europe, certainly in Africa, and the Middle East is just, look how long we were getting behind the UN Works Relief, agency. I tried to defund them 20 years ago, and my legislation passed the House. Thankfully, in comes our president, and he defunded them completely because they were a workshop for child soldiers and radicalism among the people in the Middle East, the Palestinians. And if you're a moderate Palestinian Muslim, forget it. You're either coerced, you better leave, or you're killed. And if you're a Christian, it's the same thing. So this gross intolerance to people of other faiths, but they think when they kill you, they're doing God's will. And that is absolutely perverted. So it is a global intifada, and it's going on all over the world, and it is getting significantly worse.
And as you point out, it's not a theory. It's actually happening every minute of every day around the globe. It's not a theory. It's not a pure ideology, although it's that. It is actually taking place in the world. Other than Donald Trump, I don't hear leaders in Europe talking about it. No. I don't hear leaders in the Democrat Party in Congress talking about it. I don't hear anybody talking about it, but a handful of folks, you being one of the great leaders, Ted Cruz, a handful of others, and of course, Donald Trump. Now, you have these hearings, you get all this evidence on the record. Do you see, here and there, but do you see much of a media concentrated interest in teaching about this?
Apart from Fox and you, there's very little coverage given to this, and I don't know why. It's baffling in the extreme. When people are being slaughtered, you have very, very media people with an incredible reach with whatever that media might be, just not doing anything. They choose not to cover it. They'll do an article here or there or a story, but nothing that approaches the gravity and the pervasiveness of it all. It is awful, and it's getting worse. I can't say that enough. I read the Hamas charter several times. I read portions of it on the floor of the House. They are so anti-Semitic, these Hamas characters, these animals, although I insult the animals when I say that they say if you find a Jew behind a rock, the rock itself will cry out, hey, there's a Jew here, come and kill him. I mean, they're just filled with hatred. Maybe I had a resolution in the last Congress, I have one in this one as well, on Nigeria. So we had a fight in the Foreign Affairs Committee. My resolution passed 26-21, with the Democrats voting no. I was shocked. It's like, do you know what's going on if you're a Christian and even a moderate Muslim, because they coerce you into becoming a radical or at risk of your life. And I've met with many imams in Nigeria, and they say the same thing. They say anything about the radicalism, they get killed.
We're going to bring you back, Congressman. There's so much more to cover on this, and we're going to stay on it. God bless you, my friend,
God bless
for all
you, Mark.
you do.
Great job you're doing. Thank you.